Yo, parish orphans and retrogrades. Special episode of Rules for Retrogrades today. One that's been a long time in the coming, entitled Why I Am Not Orthodox and Never Will Be. Now, I would never make a claim that I'll never be something unless there is an object of fixture, a basis of permanence for making such a propositional claim. And today will be an enumeration, a substantiation of that object of permanence, which is constituted, fixed itself around a few key issues. The key issues separating Roman Catholics and Eastern Orthodox brethren are the Filioque and the Papacy. And I'll treat of moral theological differences between Catholic and Orthodox at the end. But that's, you know, those are, I've taken those pot shots. Even though I like the Ortho bros a lot, culturally more aligned with them than a lot of Catholics, which is why people are saying, oh, why don't you go Orthodox? Well, question asked, question answered as of today. Culturally, the Ortho guys are masculine, typically, at least in America, and they have not been, they've been, of all the three major Christian sects, have been flooded the least by homofeminism. The Roman Catholic Church, you know, is in both the clergy and the laity, all the clergy all the way to the tippy top, the Vatican, just flooded culturally with homofeminism. The clergy more the former part, and the laity more the latter part. Homofeminism is bad, and I've been nothing shy of a harsh critic of the Pope, and really the Pope since the Council, all the popes since the Council, including Benedict, and the laity since the Council. So lots of people will go, well, why aren't you Orthodox? That's an important question. Why aren't you Protestant? Is, you know, because I'm not retarded. No offense, anyone. But with regard to Orthodoxy, I'm lovingly, I would say this. My Ortho bros out there, you're going to see today that there's a very, very solid basis for an answer. Okay, so papacy. I've been one of the best known Catholic critics of Pope Francis and of the post-conciliar church. So I'm just going to show you that the office of the papacy was accepted for all times, from the beginning of the church. Let's put it this way. Is there a head of the church? If so, then Roman Catholicism is true. Same thing. If the Filioque is true, then Roman Catholicism is true. If there is a universal head of the church, then Roman Catholicism is true. You guys should accept these terms. This breaks down into, I broke it down for the consideration of doing an episode into headship, unity, indefectibility of Rome, the See of Rome, or you know, Peter, the new Peter, whatever you want to call it. So here's how I have it shook out. On the unity of the papacy, I'll produce a Gregory of Nazianzus quote showing it must be Peter in Rome, that the papacy is necessary for unity. I have Jerome, in addition to Nazianzus, Venerable Bede, Boniface, Ambrosiaster, Leo the Great, all of whom talk about the papacy as a sine qua non sign of unity, sign and symbol of unity. A sine qua non meaning a without which not. You can't have unity without the Pope. Nazianzus, Jerome, Venerable Bede, Boniface, Leo the Great, Ambrosiaster. And there are more too, but you know, we can't go 5 hours. In terms of the headship of the Pope is a sine qua non for headship within Christendom if there is to be one church. We all laugh at Protestants when they're like, there's one church, we just have different names. Headship is required. It's divinely instituted, meaning Jesus giving the keys to Peter. And this is acknowledged as a divine, not an ecclesial institution of Peter's headship and the Pope's headship. I'll produce Stephen of Dora, Theodore Abu Qura, Patriarch Nicephorus, showing, is so much headship does the Pope have that you need Rome to settle all disputes. Gregory the Great, saying as far back as Gregory the Great's time that Constantinople is subject to me. There's 200 Syrian clergy, Eastern fathers or Eastern priests, who say Christ appointed you, the Pope, as chief pastor, teacher, and physician of souls, and the patriarch of the whole earth, meaning he has a headship. That's the second theme under which I'm producing Eastern guys together with some Western guys, showing the very, very, very early conception of the Pope was he's a necessary sine qua non for headship, Christian headship. And thirdly, the third theme is the Pope as the sign of indefectibility. I'll cite a Pope Hadrian letter to the Emperor, read at Nicaea II. It was a very satisfying Pope Hadrian letter. An Orthodox scholar named Klina, Maximus the Confessor again, and Theodorus Studite, showing that the Pope is a necessary, indefectible, a sine qua non for Christian indefectibility. Christianity can't be indefectible without this indefectible head, who is a sign of unity. Is the Pope the head of the church, the indefectible, unifying head of the church? If so, then Roman Catholicism is true. Okay? So let's start with the unity of the papacy. Ambrosiaster says that schismatics, and this is in the 4th century. He's I guess I'll count him as a Western minor father. But this is in the 300s. The schismatics disturb the order begun by the Apostle Peter and preserved to this very time by means of the succession of bishops, claiming for themselves an order without an origin, which is what schismatics do. There's order without origin. That is professing a body without a head, which is, let's be honest, what you guys do, you Eastern Orthodox. Professing a body without a head, wherefore it is also fitting to call their see a chair of pestilence. Ouch. So this is Ambrosiaster. Schismatics disturb the order begun by the Apostle Peter, preserved to this very time by means of the succession of bishops, and you profess a body without a head. That's pretty good. So if a body has to have a head, what you're going to see here is a sign of unity is that the head unifies. Whereas the whole world is God's, yet is the church said to be his house, of which Pope Damasus is at this day the ruler. Wow. That's Ambrosiaster also. So not only is Ambrosiaster saying the papacy is the unifier, but he's the head. A lot of these kind of count for 2 or more themes, yeah.
Orthodox in chat are kind of going berserk because they're saying Christ is their head.
Okay, yeah. Did you not learn that the principle of intermediation is operative even within the Trinity, guys? Even within the Trinity, when we were dealing with the concept of hypostatic procession, intercession is a deal. Yeah, of course Christ is the head. But the head of the church on earth is Peter, divinely instituted office of Peter. Okay, so let's go to Nazianzus. This is your guy. I mean, this is who you guys claim is your guy. He's really all of our guy, but
we love him more.
We love him more. Theologian, lived from 329 to 390 AD. The question isn't, is Christ the head? It's, did the Father say there's a visible head beneath Christ? That's the question. Is there a visible head beneath Christ? And the answer is yes. Look at Nazianzus. Truly, nature has not given us two suns, this is S-U-N-S, but she has given us two Romes as lights of the whole world, an old dominion, a pagan, and a new dominion, Christian. The one differs from the other as the latter outshines the east and the former the west. But the beauty of the one balances exactly in the scales with the beauty of the other. Regarding the faith which they uphold, the ancient Rome has kept a straight course from of old, and still does so, uniting the whole West, see, unity, uniting the whole West by sound teaching, as is just, since she, Rome, presides over all and guards the universal divine harmony. So, this is Gregory Nazianzus saying Rome presides over all the other parts of the church and guards the universal divine harmony. I don't know what you say to that. I guess you can yell. Here's Jerome, who lived from 342 to 420. See, we didn't make up the papacy in medieval times. Sound like a Protestant when you say that. Here's Jerome. But you say that the church was founded upon Peter, although elsewhere the same is attributed to all the apostles, and they all receive the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and the strength of the church depends on them all alike. Yet, one among the 12, says Jerome, is chosen so that when a head has been appointed, there may be no occasion for schism. Why wasn't John chosen, who's a virgin? Let me read that again. Yet, you say, hey, all 12 apostles are, the foundation of the church, right? They all receive the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and the strength of the church depends on all them alike. But yet, says Jerome, one among the 12 is chosen so that when a head has been appointed, there may be no occasion for schism. So the disruption of all occasion for schism means headship, but here it means unity. It means unity. That's why I stuck it in the unity theme here. And that's Jerome. And that's pretty satisfying. One among the 12 is chosen so that when a head has been appointed, there may be no occasion for schism, because schism is what happens. You guys can't even, like Soloviev admitted, you guys can't even get the 14 churches or whatever, the autocephalous churches together for a meeting. Because if Papa's not there at table to call the brothers, you can't gather them, let alone once you gather them, manufacture consensus. You have to have a Papa. You can't just have a bunch of squabbling brothers. I don't care if you're my older brother or my younger brother. If I disagree with you, I'm going to disagree with you openly. It's harder to do with Papa. That's why schism always brings us back to the concept of unity.
One of the Ortho Bros who frequents the channel says, regarding these quotes, please remember that we accept papal primacy, not papal supremacy.
Right, which is why headship is going to be more important for you. You guys say he's the first among equals. I understand. But there are folks that balk at even the idea of the Pope as the visible sign of unity, which was the previous question I just got. So I'm starting with unity. We'll go to headship next before we go to indefectibility. Okay? I understand that point, though. You guys say he's the first among equals. Okay, I get it. Fair enough. But that's why headship is really important. Jerome also wrote to Damasus, who commissioned him to translate the Bible into Latin. Since the East, dashed against itself by the accustomed fury of its peoples, is tearing piecemeal the undivided tunic of Christ, woven from the top throughout, and foxes are destroying the vine of Christ, so that among the broken cisterns, which have no water, it is hard to locate the sealed fountain in the enclosed garden. I have considered that I ought to consult the chair of Peter, Jerome says, and the faith praised by the mouth of the apostle, asking now food for my soul from the place whence I received the garment of Christ. Okay, so he's asking Pope Damasus in a time of confusion you're the chair of Peter, you're in charge. So he's asking for, feed me. I'm a sheep, feed me. Remember Jesus said to feed my sheep to Peter? He also says, yet though your greatness terrifies me, your kindness attracts me. From the priest I ask the salvation of the victim, from the shepherd the safety of the sheep. Away with envy. The canvassing of the Roman height recedes. I speak with the successor of the fisherman, writes Jerome, with the disciple of the cross. Following none in the first place but Christ, I am in communion with your beatitude. Remember, Christ is the head, but the visible sign of headship on earth is the Pope. I'm in communion with your beatitude, that is with the chair of Peter. There's another one of those i.e. that is clauses. That is with the chair of Peter. On that rock, this is Jerome, greatest scripture scholar ever, I know the church is built. There it is.
Boom, Russ.
Boom. Whoever shall eat the lamb outside this house is profane. Ouch.
Oops.
If any be not with Noah in the ark, he shall perish in the flood.
Yeah.
Orthodox, convert. I know Pope Francis is rough. Convert, though.
We all have daddy issues.
Yeah, we got to get over our daddy issues. We'll get over them together. I like the Ortho Bros. I speak with the successor of the fisherman, with the disciple of the cross, following none in the first place but Christ. I'm in communion with your beatitude. That is with the chair of Peter. On that rock, I know the church is built. Whoever shall eat the lamb outside this house is profane. If any be not with Noah in the ark, he shall perish in the flood. That's rough. That's rough. Okay, so we've gone through Ambrosi Esther, Nazianzus, Jerome now. Let's go through Venerable Bede and Boniface. Here's Boniface. Sorry, this is annoying. The institution of the Universal Church took its beginning from the honor bestowed on Blessed Peter, in whom its government and headship reside. So that throw this into the headship chapter as well, theme as well. Not just unity. For from him, as its source, this is St. Boniface, did ecclesiastical discipline flow over all the churches. Boom. When the culture of religion had begun to make progress, the precepts of the Synod of Nicaea bear no other testimony. Wow. Insomuch that synod did not attempt to make any regulations in his regard, as it saw nothing that could be conferred that was superior to his one dignity or merit. It knew, in fine, that everything had been bestowed on him by the word of the Lord. It is therefore certain that this church is to the churches spread over the whole world, as the head is to its own members, from which church whoso has cut himself off becomes an alien from the Christian religion. So unifier, the way the head is the unifier of all the organs, it brings my right hand into contact with my left hand, or my whatever members of the body need to do to unify the energies of my body. My head does it. So this is not only union and unity. I stuck it in the unity theme category, but it's also headship in the sense of universal jurisdiction. The head has jurisdiction over all of the members. Remember, for that last Orthodox who asked that question, this is Saint Pope Boniface in the late 300s. The church is to the churches, lowercase c there. The church is, this church, the Rome, is to the churches spread over the whole world, as head is to its own members. That's jurisdiction, my friend. From which church whoso has cut himself off becomes an alien from the Christian religion. So you can't cut yourself off from the head. That's slam dunk. Now here's Saint Pope Leo the Great, who was he right after Boniface? I have delegated my authority to you, beloved, so that you, imitating our gentleness, might assist us in the care which we owe primarily to all the churches by divine institution. The care which we owe primarily to all the churches by divine institution. This proves that the pontificate is divinely instituted and that there's a duty of head to the members. Though they have a common dignity, yet they have not a uniform rank, inasmuch as even among the blessed apostles, notwithstanding the similarity of their honorable estate, there was a certain distinction of power, and while the election of them was equal, yet it was given to one to take the lead of the rest. So this is not just unity, this is also headship. The care of the universal church should converge toward Peter's one seat. The care of the universal church, which means headship. And nothing anywhere should be separated from its head. So this is Leo the Great saying exactly what Boniface just said. Anything separated from the head will die. Here's Leo the Great in Papal Supremacy. For after his resurrection also, after conferring the keys of the kingdom, after Peter's threefold profession of unending love, the Lord, insinuating a point mystically, said 3 times, "Feed my sheep," 3 times. Undoubtedly, he does this now as well, and the pious shepherd follows the Lord's command, confirming us by his exhortations and praying for us incessantly, so that we not be overcome by any temptation. Since therefore we see so great a protection divinely established over us, let us give thanks to our eternal King and Redeemer, our Lord Jesus Christ, for having given so great a power to him whom he made ruler of the entire church. This is Pope St. Leo the Great. Second quote. This one speaks more to headship than it does to unity, but he unifies the whole church in his headship. So it's a little hard to distinguish these. All of these guys, Nazianzus, Jerome, Venerable Bede, Boniface, Leo the Great, Ambrosiaster, all talk about the papacy as a sign of unity. I don't think I read the Venerable Bede. Let me see. Here's Venerable Bede, lived from 672 to 735. He writes this. To every church of the elect, here's Rome is a source of unity in a really strong way. To every church of the elect, therefore, authority to bind and loose according to the measure of sin or of repentance. But the blessed Peter, more particularly, who confessed Christ with true faith and followed him with true love, so received the keys of the kingdom and supremacy of judicial power, to that last question that we just asked, so received the keys of the kingdom directly from Christ, and supremacy of judicial power, that all the faithful throughout the world understand that whoever shall cut themselves off in any way from the unity of faith or from the unity of this fellowship, such persons can neither be absolved from their bonds of their sins, nor enter the gate of the heavenly kingdom. So Rome is the source of unity, says Venerable Bede. It's a Sunday sermon he delivered this in. This is strong. Nazianzus, Jerome, Bede, Boniface, Ambrosiaster, Leo the Great all talk about the papacy as not only a sign of unity, but a sine qua non, a necessary, without which not sign of unity. You cannot be saved without this sign of unity. Let's talk about headship now. And headship has been insinuated by several of these unity quotes. Stephen of Dora is a minor Eastern father, and he says the following. This is the real divine institution of the church, the headship, the universal jurisdiction, whatever you want to call it. And for this cause, sometimes we asked for water to our head. You know what the head is. And to our eyes, a fountain of tears. Sometimes the wings of a dove, according to holy David, that we may fly away and announce these things to the chair which rules and presides over all. The chair is capitalized. He's talking about the chair of Peter. Announce these things to the chair which rules and presides over all. I mean to yours, the head and the highest, for the healing of the whole wound. Now it gets really good. Stephen of Dora does. For this it has been accustomed to do from of old and from the beginning with power by its canonical or apostolic authority, because the truly great Peter, head of the apostles, was clearly thought worthy not only to be entrusted with the keys of heaven, alone apart from the rest, to open it worthily to believers or to close it justly to those who disbelieve the gospel of grace, but because he was also first commissioned to feed the sheep of the whole Catholic Church. For Peter saith he, lovest thou me? Then feed my sheep. This is a universal jurisdiction, my friend. And again, he continues, because he had in a manner peculiar and special a faith in the Lord stronger than all and unchangeable, to be converted and to confirm his fellows and spiritual brethren when tossed about as having been adorned by God himself, incarnate for us with power and sacerdotal authority. I'll reread that really good part from Stephen of Dora, showing indisputably this Eastern Father that Rome is a divinely instituted headship over all the other sees. For this it has been accustomed to do from of old and from authority and from the beginning, with a power by its canonical or apostolic authority, because the truly great Peter, head of the apostles, was clearly thought worthy not only to be entrusted with the keys of heaven, alone apart from the rest, not only that, but also to open it worthily to believers or to close it justly to those who disbelieve the gospel of grace. And he alone he first was told, feed my sheep. But this is the most important part. He was entrusted it with the keys of heaven, so it's a divinely instituted papacy, not a ecclesiologically instituted papacy, the way Protestants say. Come on, Orthodox, you're better than that. But also to open it worthily to believers or to close it justly who disbelieve it. What does that mean? A universal jurisdiction conferred on Rome. You have to be with Rome, says Stephen of Dora, in order to be saved. To open it worthily to believers or to close it justly to those who disbelieve the gospel of grace. That's important. We can't play this stuff down. Here's an Orthodox, Theodore Abu Qurra, from the East, lived in the middle 700s into the 800s. He's going to make the point that Rome is the chair of Peter. You should understand that the head of the apostles was St. Peter, to whom Christ said, you are the rock, and on this rock I shall build my church, and the gates of hell will not overcome it. After his resurrection, he also said to him 3 times, while on the shore of the Sea of Tiberias, Simon, do you love me? Feed my lambs, rams, and ewes. In another passage, he said to him, Simon, Satan will ask to sift you like wheat, and I prayed that you not lose your faith. But you at that time have compassion on your brethren and strengthen them. Do you not see that St. Peter is the foundation of the church, selected to shepherd it? This means jurisdiction. Shepherd means jurisdiction. That those who believe in this faith will never lose their faith, and that he was ordered to have compassion on his brethren and to strengthen them. This is an Orthodox scholar from the 700s, Theodore Abu Qurra. As for Christ's words, I have prayed for you that you not lose your faith, but you have compassion on your brethren at that time and strengthen them. We do not think that he meant St. Peter himself. This is important. Rather, he meant nothing more than the holders of the seat of St. Peter, that is Rome. Wow. He meant Peter and all of his successors. Just as when he said to the apostles, I am with you always until the end of the age, he did not mean just the apostles themselves, but also to those who would be in charge of their seats and their flocks. In the same way, when he spoke his last words to St. Peter, have compassion at that time and strengthen your brethren, and your faith will not be lost, he meant by this nothing other than the holders of his seat. So it's not just Peter alone, it's all the holders of the seat have the chair of Peter in Rome, and they are selected to shepherd it, all of the other churches, which means they have a universal jurisdiction over them. Holders of the seat of St. Peter, that is Rome, selected to shepherd the whole church. I don't know what else you could want. This is Theodore Abu Qurra.